Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast. Today is Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. Podcast brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, Equal Housing Lender. 2289 is our NMLS number for all you compliance and legal people out there. With us today, our panel consisting of, good morning, the Google of our office, Lisa Lawson.
Morning, everybody.
Hi, Lisa. And also top 1% of all originators in the United States, Mr. John Kolb. Good morning, John.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, and special guests today, we have Hope Williams, Keller Williams Advantage. Hope is a neighbor of mine. As a matter of fact, she lives right across the main street from me. Good morning, Hope Williams.
Well, good morning. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, even though your camera doesn't work. Everybody wants to see your face, but you know what? We do the best with what we have, Hope.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, Hope, it's no secret. It's really busy out there. And, for lack of a better term, everybody is working harder than they've worked before. Realtors, loan officers, appraisers, because with the lack of inventory, everybody has to work harder for their clients. Hope, tell us what you're doing in the adjustment period in this really busy market with limited inventory.
So true. That is so true, Harry. The biggest part of my job right now is educating the buyers and preparing them for the market. Obviously working, with you type of people, with the mortgage lending teams, with Capital Mortgage, you get something that you have a team type of a conjunction with the realtor. However, before we go over the real estate side, I like to make sure what is the actual portfolio, what does it look like for the client in this market in trying to buy. And so I like to pair them up for pre-approval first.
That's such a great thing. And Lisa Lawson, the Google of our office, we've been doing this a long time. Lisa's very experienced. And Lisa, why don't you go through with everybody out there listening? We have listeners from all over the world, including Ireland, Scotland. We reference them a lot because we get calls, believe it or not, from there all over the United States. So Lisa, before we allow, I'm going to use that term loosely, Hope to go out and waste her time, effort, and energy showing people properties, Lisa Lawson, what do you do for Hope and the clients in the beginning?
So very first thing is we have a conversation. When are you looking to move? Is this something you're trying to do now? Are you doing this a year from now? How long are you in your lease? If somebody's locked in a lease and they don't want to do this for 2 years, then maybe it's a keep in touch conversation, unless they've got some concerns. But we want to set them up for success. So if it's somebody that's looking to move as soon as possible, their lease is expiring in a few months, then we sit down and we ask them a very detailed interview. Really, it's about, where do you work? How long have you been there? How long have you been in your profession? How much money do you have in the bank? How many dependents do you have? We get into the nitty-gritty, and we pull credit, and we make sure that when we issue an approval, we've already received your documentation to support everything that you told us in that application interview. And when we issue it, we know that we're good to go. It's already gone through an automated underwriting system. We've already received approval, and we're just trying to match a house and some title work with the person.
So Lisa, this is an approval. It's not a pre-qual. It's not, hey, maybe. This is a bona fide mortgage approval, correct?
Correct. It's a conditional approval, conditioned on finding a house and clear title.
Yeah, and that's it. And John Kolb, to reiterate what Lisa says, we're not going to go ahead and let Hope Williams and our other real estate partners waste their time unless we have that approval, correct?
Absolutely. I don't, I just reiterate what Lisa and Hope and everyone has said is you're not going to let anyone go out there and start looking at homes unless we've done our level of background check on them. And I don't care if it's a perfect client, 800 credit score, putting 30% down, and their debt to income ratio is 10. We're gonna do the same thing, like Lisa said, get all the information, run it through the underwriting engine, and do that. If we have a client that may be topping out at their max amount that they might be qualified for, we'll take that a step further, right? We'll run it through the underwriting engine. We'll even have an underwriter take a look at it so that everything, all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and we make sure that we're not going to have any problems. We also make sure that we give as much information as we can to the client about what the do's and do's nots of purchasing a home. Don't go out there, start searching for a new home. Don't new car. Don't go out there. Oh, there it is. It's on his desk. Don't go out there and rack up your credit card debt. Don't buy your appliances already. Talk to us before you make any decision, because we're here to get you into the home, not to get you out of the home.
Yeah, this is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fair Independent Mortgage Corporation. We are joined by special guest Hope Williams of Keller Williams Advantage. I'm sorry, what did I say?
You said it right. You've got it
good.
Right. That's right.
And on the screen, if you take a look, Hope, we talk about the do's and don'ts, right? We talk about the do's and don'ts, and we have it written down, and it's really part of our Bible and our discussion, Hope. But I'm going to tell you this, what really is surprising to me, I'm not going to say it's shocking, because in this business, nothing can really shock us. It can only continuously surprise us. I was sitting with a realtor partner yesterday, and he told me, Harry, you wouldn't believe how many lenders out there, even experienced lenders, are not approving people properly, and it'll come down 3-4 weeks in the transaction, Hope, and they'll find out that the borrower cannot work from home any longer, that their company took off the relocation and the remote work, so they don't qualify because they wanted to move to some remote area and just work from home. That's what, like, the second question we ask: where are you employed? Will they let you work from home? So, Hope, I'm just telling you, it's just very surprising to me. What are you finding out there?
You know what? And speaking of work, those are all issues, because I think people were really migrating into bigger spaces and more homes were selling during COVID, because quite frankly, we're going crazy with our families being cramped in the houses, right? In the apartments, right? And so I do find that we are still seeing a shift happen from people that want to migrate from smaller spaces into the bigger spaces. I want to touch base, because something came up when Lisa was talking about how she pre-qualifies. Another thing, people are working multiple jobs, so you have a lot of hustle money. And one of the questions that I have to ask now, it's becoming more common, is I call it mattress money. Do you have mattress money that you're hiding, or not hiding, but not putting in the bank because you're just working a different type of gig, and you want to apply that? Because all of that needs to be considered for that pre-approval. And I think there are rules to actually handling that money. So I'm running into that a lot as far as working and things like that are concerned.
Yeah, Lisa, do you want to address that? That's a great question. Lisa, why don't you address that question for Hope?
Absolutely. So we're in what they call the gig economy, right? You need a couple extra bucks. You drive for Uber, or you deliver for one of the many food delivery companies that are out there. And a lot of these people, yes, they get some deposited into a bank account that we can track, but cash tips, if people are getting cash and they might be saving it, then that could be an issue if they haven't claimed it. You can use money from a second job, but you have to be, depending on the loan type, working that second job for quite some time. For an FHA loan, you have to have a 2-year history of working a second job. So it depends on the loan type, but even if we can't use it for income, it doesn't mean that you can't use it to close. It can always be used for closing funds, but it has to be properly sourced. And cash is very, very difficult to source. So, we always say, people say cash is king, and unfortunately in mortgage lending, cash is not king. We definitely need sourceable income. We need to see that, for example, Uber deposited that into your checking account, not that somebody just handed you cash. So it's definitely a challenge.
We're all for hardworking people, side gigs, side hustles, everything like that. But John Kolb, we got to track it, right? I mean, like Lisa says, we have to source every deposit, and we have to find out where the money comes from. And John, let's discuss, certain ways that we can go ahead and source it, maybe a little, I don't want to say creatively, but we really have to do a deep dive and do our homework, correct? Like let's talk about the cryptocurrency thing, right, John? I mean, everybody, all your millennial buddies, John, are all into crypto. So
Yep.
Talk about that.
Crypto is one of those things where you really can't track it all that easily. It doesn't provide a monthly statement like you would want. And really, it's just like a stock market where you got to convert from crypto back to US dollars in order to use it for real estate purposes, I should say. So yeah, it can be done. We have to show how the money was deposited, what the cryptocurrency did during the time it was in the black market, and then how it was converted back out. So I've done it before. It's no fun, but it can be done. The other thing is, like, Lisa stole my saying, cash is king, except for when mortgages. So we just have to make sure and that you just don't deposit cash, and that we can find a way to get that cash deposited the right way, document it the right way, so that we can use the funds. I don't care if you're not using the income from driving for Uber or delivering for Shipt or whatever the case may be. Even though you're still getting deposits in there, we have to track large deposits. And if they're coming from those entities, we have to track it.
Yeah, I love that, John. We're joined by Hope Williams here on the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Hope Williams, Keller Williams Advantage. Hope, I have a question for you. Are home prices right now in the United States overall in 30 of 50 largest United States markets are up? It seems to me right here locally, let's translate that to local here. Are we having a late summer surge here in metropolitan Detroit?
You know what? That is a really good question. I think it's area by area. What I've learned, especially with the inner city, is you kind of have to take Detroit in blocks and pieces. But I will say overall, yes, I am seeing that the prices, it's still looking more, we're getting closer to a balanced market, but the sellers definitely have the upper hand because of the shortage. So yes, we are seeing a little bit of that. And I think where I read today that the average looks closer to 300 than it ever has, versus where we used to say between 2 to 250, we're creeping up in Michigan.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Hope, and that leads me into my next topic for you, the reasons why not to wait. Well, one of the reasons why not to wait, Hope, is because prices aren't going down, they're going up. And if you wait, you're actually going to lose money.
Yeah. So this is another educational point, right? I get these people, they'll call me and they're lovely people, but they have this vision of their grandparents' market. They've been informed and educated by their family of the strategies that they've used. It worked great in maybe the 1980s or different time frames. But we're in a different market now. If you are the type of person that is looking for just what I call a luxury buy, where you just are shifting from one house to the next and you want to kill the market and get this great buy that's been renovated, you name it, that is not very realistic. I won't say anything is impossible, but it's unrealistic to think that you're going to go to prime areas like Novi or Northville and negotiate your way 10% lower just because you may even have cash. It's not happening.
Hey, I love it. Hope Williams speaking the truth, everybody. And she's directing it to my generation. You cannot try to negotiate everything anymore. Lisa Lawson, consumer confidence is way up. Okay. However, people are saying this isn't a good time to buy a home, but yet prices keep going up. Multiple offers, all that. So it's kind of contradictory, right? So it's we have to disseminate the accurate versus inaccurate information here. Go ahead.
So, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. People said it wasn't a good time to buy 3 years ago when the rates were still in the 4s. And then they said it wasn't a good time 2 years ago and the rates were in the 5s. And they said it wasn't a good time last year, rates were in the 6s. And every year the prices keep going up and up and up. So now we're here in the 4th year and the rates are, in the 7s or low 7s. And inventory is the most scarce it's been in a very, very long time. And the prices are some of the highest they've been. So the prices are still going to increase. You could still get in now. And yes, you will still appreciate, you will still gain value, you'll still have equity. But I have clients that are kicking themselves that they didn't do it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, even 2 years ago. And I'm not exactly sure what they're waiting for. I guess if you've got a sweet setup and you live with your parents and they don't charge you rent and you don't have any bills, maybe you're not in a big rush to move. But if you're paying rent to some landlord, why wouldn't you invest in yourself? It makes no sense. So, they always, certain things in life, there's no perfect time, right? And people always say there's never the perfect time to have a baby. Well, you can never make the perfect time to buy a house. The perfect time to buy a house is when you need one. If you need a house and you can afford a mortgage payment and you want a house, then you should be buying a house.
Yeah, going back to the 1980s, because I feel qualified, people were buying houses then at 16, 17% interest rates, John. But I want to get on a different topic with you, John. And it's really wording, sitting down with a broker yesterday, and this person was phenomenal. Maybe we'll have him on the podcast, maybe we'll have him on the show. But here's the bottom line. The inspection thing is still all the rage. The conversation of waiving an inspection, pass-fail inspection, non-negotiable inspection, whatever term you want to use. I contend, and always have been, and I always will, that you should never waive, and hope you can chime in on this after we talk to John. I believe you should never waive an inspection unless you have certain family members that are builders and this and that, you know what you're getting into, because it is the largest investment of your life. You got to stick a camera down the sewer line. You got to check out the attic. You got to do everything. But here's the question, John. The wording on these things, they're getting trickier and trickier, but it's really this, John. Either you're going to let me inspect the house or you're not. Either you're going to go ahead and accept an offer with an inspection or you're not. And if a buyer is really serious and they want to give a non-refundable deposit to that seller for the purpose of trying to negotiate or buy that house, what are your feelings on? It still seems to be all the rage and discussion, inspection versus non-inspection.
I mean, we talked to people last week. We talked to somebody from New Jersey. This past weekend, we talked to somebody in the Orchard Lake area, and now Hope in the West Bloomfield area. I mean, we all have the same answers. It's don't ever waive your inspection. Now, you can audible about how that inspection is, how that inspection is viewed. A lot of people are doing pass fails. This past Sunday, there was putting a cap on the amount of costs. On last Wednesday, the New Jersey agent, she suggested maybe just leave listing. The inspection was just for major ticket items, environmental out there, foundation. So, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways, and people just don't want to be nickel and dime, and that's what a lot of these people out there are trying to do. Is they're trying to nickel and dime them. They get their offer accepted. They come back and they say, "Oh, you know what? This house needs 3 GFI outlets. But give me 10 grand off the purchase price." No, I'm not gonna play that game.
Doorknobs.
Right. Doorknobs. So I like one. We need an inspection. We keep doing inspections, but keep it to the big ticket items. Foundation, attic, mold. Things like that, so that the people know that you're not nickel and diamond. If you live I've been in my home for, gosh, I'm getting old. I'm getting as old as Harry. I've been in my home for about 24 years. And, I know my foundation is sound. I know I don't have mold in the attic. I know that there's no water seeping into the basement. If someone came in and said we were just going to do big ticket items, absolutely all day long, I got no worries.
Right. So you basically have nothing to hide. Hope, I'm going to ask you this question regarding that subject. Isn't it really about the wording and the communication with the agent when it comes to that? I mean, when somebody puts in an offer, you want to see the wording that goes along with an inspection or any type of addendum that you're putting on there, right? It's really, the key is the wording and the communication and the intent, right?
Absolutely. I think communication is so big. And I know we live in a world of texting and social media, but I'm a person that really believes in making every fine note clear so that there's clarity going into it on the buyer side and there's clarity going into it on the seller side. You want to make sure that you're and I'm speaking kind of to the agents too. You want to make sure that you are educating your buyers before they go into this process. When we're looking at houses and we're doing our showings, I make a point to bring up, they'll ask me, does this look okay or does that look okay? And I'll refer to the inspection and say, you know what? I work on the sales end, but my goal is always to make sure that I pair you up with someone who can make sure that they answer those questions during the inspection. And you want to look at the main things, the foundation, the roof, the plumbing. And when you are actually negotiating, you have a few different target areas. At the very beginning, you make your offer. And then, of course, the inspection is a potential negotiation. But I make sure that I inform my clients, we're not going in to nitpick. We're not going in and looking at the sockets and like you mentioned, the GCI outlets and small things like that. We're looking at major things. We're not going to ask because the inspection report has 10,000 small details that they reduced the house, because you knew that house was built in the 80s, in the earliest, in some of the suburbs, or maybe even the 50s, depending on where you're looking in Wayne County, right? So you just have to prepare your clients so that they know we're not going to go in here to nitpick and nickel and dime.
I love it, Hope. I think your wisdom, your experience, and just the general overall perspective is you cannot go into a negotiation like it was the 1980s or 90s and say, I don't like the doorknobs, I don't like the handles on the drawers, so we want $15,000 off the purchase price. It just doesn't work that way. I'm glad that you brought it up, and I'm glad you made it a point, because oftentimes when we discuss these things over and over again, it's great to hear another perspective. We're
It's like
joined
buying
by
a used car and asking for a discount because the odometer is not at zero. It's a used house.
It's a different market right now. And Lisa, so here we are. We're going to wrap up the podcast today for an August 9, 2023. We've had a great podcast. I'm going to start with Lisa Lawson, go to John Kolb. Hope you'll get the last words. We'll wrap it up. Lisa Lawson, talk to me.
Yeah, I just, the importance of working with professionals, the importance of being truly pre-approved and having an underwriter either review your documents if there's something questionable about your file, or if you're a straight W-2 employee, making sure you've got that automated approval. So when agents are out there, both agents and yourself can confidently make offers. You know exactly what money you've got to work with. You know exactly which ways you can restructure to get deals done. And it is so important in this market when the listings are not as bountiful as they once were.
I love it, Lisa. Always fun, always educational, always the Google of the office. John Kolb.
Just do your due diligence. Make sure you speak with your real estate agent, your real estate professional like Hope, your mortgage lender, your insurance agent, everybody that's going to have some valued input for the home that you're looking to buy, and listen to what they have to say, and make sure that you're giving them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to timing of getting everything done.
Boy, I wish we could do this for another 5 hours. It's such a pleasant conversation when you're dealing with people that know what they're talking about. We truly want to educate the client. We're joined by Hope Williams. Hope, you have the last words of the day.
Well, thank you. One of the things I'd like to encourage everyone is pay attention to your local market. Like we were talking about the pricing here. When you see the national news, and I watch CNBC too, the things that they're talking about, the trends that are going on nationally, it may not necessarily be the same here. So get in touch with someone like Capital Mortgage. They're a great team. I love working with you guys, and make sure that you are sharing the knowledge with your real estate agent and with your mortgage team so that they can pair up to make the best offer for you.
I love it. Great advice, Hope. And this has been the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast today for August 9, 2023. Happy to have a panel of Lisa Lawson, John Kolb, and of course, Hope Williams from Keller Williams Advantage. And also our producer and director in the booth, Roberto Beauchene. He's there. He does all the behind the scenes work. We're happy to have him too. And everybody, listen, don't wait. There are certain do's and don'ts. You got to talk to us about it. Call Lisa, John, Becky, Harvey, everybody here at our office. And you know what? For the crew here, we'll see you soon.